Hello, everybody. Welcome to Inside Politics. I'm John King in Washington. Thank you for sharing what is turning out to be a very busy news day with us. The White House shaking up its COVID plan as the pace of vaccinations takes a concerning drop. The numbers down in 44 states, and the number of shots in arms yesterday dropped below 1 million. Use it or lose it is the White House message now to states about their week-to-week vaccine supplies. And a new White House pitch aims to get 160 million Americans fully vaccinated by the July 4th holiday. Much more on the COVID challenge just ahead, including a debate among Team Biden members about summer camp restrictions. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, there is a lot of Trump turmoil today. The former president just minutes ago endorsing a candidate to replace Congresswoman Liz Cheney in the House Republican leadership. And we know the former president is working directly with the House Republican leader, Kevin McCarthy. In a new attack on Congresswoman Cheney earlier today, Trump also takes gratuitous new potshots at his vice president, Mike Pence, and at the Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, for not doing more to support Trump's election lies. That angry, and we must note, full of falsehood statement from the former president issued just moments after he learned he is banned from Facebook for at least 6 more months. Trump, just last hour, sending another statement, a direct response to that Facebook decision, accusing the social media giant of stealing his right to free speech. A Facebook oversight board ruled today, yes, the social media company can keep Trump off its platform and off Facebook-owned Instagram for now. But the panel said the company has no rules in place to justify a permanent ban.
Our decision this morning is relatively simple and straightforward. First, we agree that Facebook had sufficient justification to remove Mr. Trump's January 6th posts for violation of the policy against praising or encouraging violent actors. But we hold that it was improper, that is to say, in violation of Facebook's own rules, as well as generally accepted principles of freedom of expression, for Facebook to make that suspension indefinite.
The First Amendment issues here are giant, along with equally giant questions about the power of the tech giants. In the here and now, that ruling keeps Mr. Trump from directly reconnecting with nearly 60 million Facebook and Instagram followers. Let's discuss this now. With me to share their reporting and their insights, our CNN correspondent, Donnie O'Sullivan, national politics reporter for The Washington Post, Tola Olorunnipa, and Republican strategist Alice Stewart. Donnie, I want to start with you. Grateful to have you here on the set. It's good to see you in person. The First Amendment issues here, the political collision here, Trump and the tech giants. I want to listen to more of Mr. McConnell from the Facebook Oversight Board, because he's essentially saying, yes, Trump crossed the line. Facebook had every right to do this, but Mr. Zuckerberg and your team, you need to go back and rewrite your rules so that you're consistent down the road. Let's listen to a little bit more.
Indefinite penalties of this sort do not pass the international or American smell test for clarity, consistency, and transparency. Facebook's treatment of Mr. Trump's future posting privileges did not meet these standards and cannot continue without a sober and comprehensive review, applying the same rules to Mr. Trump, neither better nor worse, as applied to everyone else.
This is not a hug of the Facebook management. It says, okay, you did this, you had good reason, you got to figure this out, though.
Yeah, absolutely. This board, which was set up really to help Facebook make these very, very difficult decisions, punted it right back to Facebook today and to Zuckerberg and said, you guys are going to have to come up, decide for yourselves within the next 6 months if Trump should be allowed back on your platform. What it comes down to, John, is many people have, rightfully so, have concerns about the power of Facebook, about the power of Mark Zuckerberg, and how you can essentially deplatform a then sitting president of the United States, no matter what he was saying, how terrible it was. On the other side, of course, is what message does it send to other world leaders, to dictators, if they allow Trump back on the platform and say, to other world leaders, well, you can use our platform to incite violence, but you won't be permanently banned.
Right, and so this gets really hard. Let's focus on that for a second, Alice Stewart, and your views on this, and then I want to come back to the direct today politics, tomorrow politics into 2022 for Mr. Trump and his platforms or lack thereof. But just to remind people, this is one of the reasons Donald Trump was banned from Facebook. This goes back to right after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. He has a long posting. He's condemning violence as part of some of the protests out there. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. Donald Trump posted on Facebook. That was one of many things the former president did that frankly offended truth and sensibilities and cross the line. He was already banned from Facebook for some of the election lies we continue to hear today. So, Alice, how do you deal with this going forward in the sense that a private company like Facebook, yes, has every right to regulate its space, if you will. At the same time, we have a First Amendment. Trump, like him or not, is a political figure who has the right to say at least most things.
This is about freedom of speech. This is about the right to say what you feel. And look, I'm a Republican. I do not support the big lie. We have free and fair elections. President Trump lost. President Biden won. I have a big problem with the incitement of the insurrection and the post that former President Trump had about that. But for Facebook to do an arbitrary, indefinite ban flies in the face and is completely contrary to free speech. We can't have these liberal big tech companies picking and choosing and making up the rules as they go and only applying free speech to those that are ideologically aligned with them. And look, they are billed as a platform, not publishers. They are platforms for people to be able to speak and say what they want. And if they're going to continue to have that reign as a platform, they need to be able to allow free speech and not be subject to the restrictions of being a publisher like CNN or other news outlets, because that is what the goal and the beauty of these social media platforms is, for people to come out and say exactly what they feel. And that's the important thing to move forward. But clearly Donald Trump is trying to find a way around that by creating his own platform to get the message out there. But the bottom line here, John, this is about free speech and applying all the rules across the board the same for everyone.
Tolu, do we fully understand what it means in the here and now, in the sense that Donald Trump right now, fully engaged, you could say pulling the strings in this House Republican leadership contest? We're going to talk about that more in detail later. But he issued a statement today attacking Liz Cheney, attacking his own Vice President Mike Pence, attacking Mitch McConnell. He did that, and you can go see it on his website, or you can go see it now if you visit CNN.com or NewYorkTimes.com, et cetera, on news sites. But if you were able to post it on Facebook, then you also put the Contribute Here button below the post, and you raise a boatload of money, and it gets recycled, and people repost it and repost it and repost it. Do we understand the impact, fully understand anyway, here and now on Donald Trump as we move into the next election cycle?
Well, it's pretty clear, looking at what happened in 2016, that Facebook was a big part of the fact of the reason why Donald Trump was able to win the presidency. People in his campaign even talked about their ability to use Facebook, to use ads, to use small dollar fundraising on this social network to propel him into the presidency. So it's particularly painful to him that he's not able to post on Facebook anymore, and that he has been banned essentially permanently from that website, and he's trying to have a way to go around it. But I think it's also a big issue that he's using, that Republicans have used, that some Trump supporters have used, this issue of cancel culture, and they like having that issue. It animates their base. It's something that they can talk about extensively. As former President Trump is banned from Facebook, he has this as an issue. When he goes on Fox News or other outlets to do interviews, he can talk about how aggrieved he is that he's been banned, and how the big corporate media is trying to cancel him and keep him off the airwaves. And that is an issue that really rallies his base. It unifies a large number of Republicans, and that's something that I think he'll continue to hammer home, even as he's attacking some people within his own party. He has this issue of cancel culture that he's using to try to unify the various wings of the party, even as he's trying to cancel people like Liz Cheney and even Mitch McConnell.
It's a great point, because even as, again, he loses a fundraising platform, he loses 60 million direct contact like that with more than 60 million people, and obviously there were more on Twitter. This is what the former president said in his statement: what Facebook, Twitter, and Google have done is a total disgrace and an embarrassment to our country. Free speech has been taken away from the President of the United States. He's the former President of the United States. He won't say that, but because the radical left lunatics are afraid of the truth, but the truth will come out anyway. The statement goes on and on. There are lies in it. I'm not going to read it all. But Tony, Facebook had to know. You say they punted this decision out to the oversight board, essentially creating a court, if you will, to regulate. Now the board says, okay, punting it back. Are they prepared? Do they just think this oversight board would protect them from this? Or are they prepared at the management level to deal with Trump, but also to deal with the myriad issues that come with Trump? This is not just about Trump.
I think we're about to enter a stage where there's going to be so much discussion and lobbying of Facebook, frankly, from both sides here in Washington about this Trump decision. Look, this is a win-win for Trump. If he's left off the platform, he can cry censorship, fundraise off that. If he's brought on the platform, and you look at this race in Wyoming, he can use that massive network he has to fundraise, to target specific ads at voters in that state, and also, of course, if he doesn't get back, as I say, he can just say, well, I'm being censored and fundraise off that. But definitely, Trump looms large over the Republican Party right now. Facebook would make it a lot easier for him to loom larger.
Every statement he has issued in the past week has lies in it. Just lies, falsehoods, lies, call them what you will. So they would have to mark those and flag those as well. It's another part of the conversation. Donnie, grateful for you here today. Alison Tolu, grateful as well for the reporting and important insights. We'll continue the conversation. Up next for us, though, the Biden COVID team looks for ways to reinvigorate a lagging vaccine rollout.